All right, everyone. Ilhan Omar actually got rebuked by all of her fellow Congress people the other day because she was comparing the USA to the Taliban. Now, it started, that part isn't why a lot of people complained. It was the other part of it where she compared Israel to Hamas, effectively. And of course, all of the Jewish Democrats dogpiled her and said, wow, we need a clarification of this, and they all, got together and condemned her. And again, including the Democrats. Her own party. Pelosi stopping short of thinking she needed further rebuke, though, when she was asked about this specifically. She said, well, she clarified her remarks. She didn't mean to compare these things together. It was funny. I mean, on its head, it's kind of amusing that it was the Israel part that pissed off the other members of Congress more than comparing the U.S. to the Taliban. But I'm thinking to myself, well, the U.S. does definitely engage in predatory and imperialistic behavior. But it's not a paramilitary guerrilla group. Also, you got to realize the Taliban is 100% comprised of fighting-age males that blow themselves up and shoot people and terrorize villages. The United States is predominantly comprised of just regular people. It would be more appropriate to compare the U.S. to Afghanistan as a whole. Well, most people there want to be left alone too. That would be a proper comparison. The same would be true of Israel and Hamas. If you're comparing the IDF to Hamas, well, at least they're both fighting groups specifically. So our comparison didn't even initially make sense on either side of this. Then, her response, instead of taking the L and saying, oh yeah, I should have worded things better, she decided to call all of Congress Islamophobic. She, again, effectively calling the entire political system, including her fellow Democrats, Islamophobic, with the exception of people like AOC, like the Geek Squad sorts. All the neoliberal Democrats united in condemnation of her comments, and she has chosen to continue to antagonize them. This is a problem for the Democrats, and it has been for a while, since AOC first got in there in Tlaib initially, and Omar I think comes just after. Since the gang started infesting the Democratic Party's asshole like a parasite, these morons have raised problem after problem, given so much ammo to the Republicans and to the handful of Democrats like a Sinema or a Manchin who at least pretend to be independent. Pelosi, the reason why she didn't want to condemn her further is because she's afraid of having another fracas, another dust-up with her or AOC, specifically on the issue, because it's great optics for the Republicans because they can say, look, the Democrats are disunited and they're praising the Taliban and they hate them, they hate America and they hate Israel. Praise God. That works for large swaths of the U.S. electorate. To be clear, the vast majority of Americans are quasi-Zionistic in form, especially the Protestants. Well, there's disproportionately red states. There's a huge influx of them into some other parts of the country. You piss off that voting bloc if you're in the GOP, you lose your job, by and large. You piss it off as a Democrat, you end up with charges of you're anti-Semitic. And it's funny because it's great to watch people like Ilhan Omar telling their constituents effectively the truth, which is U.S. foreign policy is lopsided in the Levant region, and they keep favoring Israel so much, even if Israel bombs civilians and stuff. That's true, but then they grasp onto this bizarre alternative where somehow the United States needs to back Hamas of all groups of people. That doesn't make any fucking sense. We should either march in and annex the whole area or just leave it completely alone. We shouldn't be playing sides. We should be ignoring the issue. We shouldn't be giving billions and billions of dollars a year to other states when we've got inflation, we've got high rates of unemployment right now, we've got the Beijing-Biden economy crushing everyone underfoot. We don't have any money. The money is a negative balance. Our debt load is so high at this point, we effectively don't have anything to actually spend without inflating the currency. It's a terrifying scenario when you take it to its, by the way, logical culmination, which is another Great Depression. It'll affect a lot more than just the U.S. It'll affect all those countries we're pretending to care about when we give them aid payments as well. But Ilhan Omar basically called most of the Democratic Party Islamophobes. Oh, they're using these Islamophobic tropes to attack me. Talk about a goddamn ego. This is the most self-serving, backstabbing, egotistical moron in all of Congress. She makes AOC look prim and proper by comparison. Keeping that in mind, She's also the one that was cheating on her husband and then paid $2.5 million to the adulterer's firm with campaign funds and sparking an FEC investigation. Not sure if that'll ever culminate in any meaningful repercussions. And raising a few eyebrows, by the way, in the process. And then she married the dude she was initially committing adultery with while keeping him on as a quasi-contractual employee. I guess they made one final payment of some hundreds of thousands a few months ago and then said, we won't do it anymore. I needed one more yacht. I needed to buy a speedboat. What can I say? The people gave me all this money, and so I decided to hire Tim Minette at $2 million an hour. But it wasn't really him. It was just his firm. You know, I'm paying it money, and he's making money from it, but just look the other way, basically. Yeah, I embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars at least through this process. Don't worry about it too much. I really care about the working class. And she cares about herself. We see this all the time from lefties. Ilhan Omar's trash. That's about all. Peace out.